Alrighty guys, I figured this week I'm gonna make a little bit of a video every single day, give you guys a taste of what actually goes on in the average day-to-day life of working at the shop, running the shop, whatever you wanna call whatever it is that I do here. My goal by the end of the week, if I can find the time, I wanna get this 8.1 tore down and see if there's any damage on the inside, which I don't expect. Get the cam pulled out, basically everything cleaned up so we can get the bigger cam in it and the valve springs and all that good stuff. I'm gonna redo the exhaust manifold studs because they're pretty crusty. That engine's actually from New Hampshire. Anyway, I wanna get that engine cleaned up so I can put it back into the ugly truck and get back to the track because it's summertime and time to go to racing, right? Anyway, so today it's kind of already, most of the day has actually already gone by. It is Monday. It is 4:05 in the afternoon. So not a lot of time left today. This morning I spent actually working, which I know, working kind of is no fun. Down here at the end of the shop, I had to roll my toolbox all the way down. This is I don't know if this is a Hyundai or something like that. I had to do a transmission pan gasket. It was leaking. Remember, we're a repair shop. Most of the stuff that we do every day is just like this. There was a really bad leak on the trans pan, so the front pan cover, whatever you want to call it. So I pulled it out, cleaned it up, resealed it, put it back together. Right now we're waiting on, there's some kind of like thermostat block up on the back of the head, made of plastic, it's leaking. We're waiting on that part so we can replace that for the customer as well. As soon as I'm done with that, I got a water pump we're gonna put onto this Toyota. A really, really badly worn water pump, took the belt out. Nick's over here getting a Jeep Grand Cherokee put back together. You did timing stuff on this, right?
All the timing, all new chains, guides, all that fun stuff.
Did you take any pictures of that?
Yes, I have photos.
I'll put some photos up on so you guys can see. This is kind of a unique setup. There's like a balance shaft in there and 3 separate chains and all kinds of fun, interesting stuff. So anyway, we got the Tahoe in here. I think Thomas was doing a door actuator or something on that. That's his vehicle. The Lincoln, I spent a little bit of time with that this morning, just kind of getting a few things tidied up. I don't remember if I actually showed you guys in the last video or not, but that's the digital dash there. It's all installed. It's got that kind of carbon fiber look on it. It's pretty neat. This car is not done, but we're knocking out progress on this. So I spend a little time kind of everywhere today. So I'm gonna go knock out that water pump. Maybe I'll show you guys a little bit of that. It's not super, super exciting, but as soon as I get that done, and as long as nothing else requires my immediate attention, we'll get back to this because the 8.1 is the ultimate goal for me this week. Before we get started on today's action, I wanted to take a second and talk to you about the sponsor of this video, which is Solderstick. Now, if you any sort of wiring on your car or truck or boat or inside your house or basically any sort of wiring that needs to join 2 wires together, you definitely need to check out Solderstick. Now, one of my favorite products that they make is this kit right here, which is for heat shrink butt connectors. There's 500 pieces in it, and they go from 10 gauge all the way up, or all the way down, I should say, to 26 gauge. And what makes these so special is basically there's a little band of solder encased in some heat shrink tubes. So basically, once you join your 2 wires together with the stripped ends, you apply a little bit of heat, and that solder is going to flow in between the 2 wires, and it's going to make the connection. And the heat shrink, of course, is going to make sure it's weatherproof. So one and done, no crimping required. Just put a little heat on there, whether it's from a lighter or from a campfire or a torch or a heat gun, whatever you have. If it's warm enough to melt that heat shrink in the solder, it's going to make a connection, and it's weather tight, and it's going to last for a very long time. Solderstick has a special going on right now. If you use the code LT20, you can save 20% off your order, whether that's the heat shrink butt connectors like this or their heat shrink ring terminals. I've got both of them here because as we do wiring, we use pretty much all the stuff. So check out Solderstick and use the code LT20. All right, with the car up in the air, we can see the serpentine belt is pretty much shredded, wrapped around the AC compressor, so hopefully it's not actually in the clutch. The car needs a water pump, like really badly. You can see how loose that one was. Apparently another shop put a belt on this just a little while ago and didn't fix that. So we're gonna fix that, put a new belt on it, do an oil change, get this customer back on the road. Alrighty, day number 2, it's Tuesday. Time check, it is 2:46 in the afternoon, thanks to our handy dandy Amazon wall clock and temperature checker. Pretty handy to have. I'll put a link in the description if you want one, but anyway, we have the Toyota down here. I just finished up on this job. Nick's charging up the AC for me. Got the water pump put in. I wanted to show you how bad this guy was worn here. So check it out. That's the water pump right there. Pretty simple thing, but if I can hold that. It's kind of hard to show. Oh, we'll do this. Check it out. That's how badly worn the water pump is. So of course, with that not spinning true, it's absolutely going to chew up the belts. We also, unfortunately, had to put an AC compressor on this thing because there were some of those chunks from the belt actually got in between the clutch and jammed it up. So we had to put a new pump on there as well. But this car is just getting finished up. It's going to get shipped out, and then we're just doing a little bit of cleanup work. After that, let's see. I actually might be able to get to do some teardown. So we shall see how that goes. Stay tuned. All right, Wednesday update, guys. It is now, unfortunately, at 5:47 in the afternoon. Another day has come and gone without a whole lot of progress being made on the 8-1. But the week is not over yet, and I still think I'll have time to do it. Yesterday, actually, I did take a chance to clean this up a little bit. You know, this engine was fairly leaky. The front cover, the balancer, covered in a pretty thick layer of sludge. The oil pan gasket was bad. Which I'm ashamed to admit I knew that was bad way back when I welded on took the pan off to weld on the oil drain for the turbo, and I don't remember why, but I hadn't fixed it then. So now it's been leaking. It's, you know, it was pretty messy. It's clean now, but rear main seal's been leaking. So anyway, the block is at least cleaned up. So when I'm, you know, in the reassembly phase, I can actually paint this and I'll wire wheel it or whatever. But so that's what I did so far. The rest of the day, let's see, this morning I spent doing brakes of all things. We got what is this? A Nissan Rogue, you know, real fun stuff to work on. Did a brake job on that. And then also I finished up, there was some little, I forget what it was, a Hyundai, had a little coolant thing on the back of the head I had to replace. Anyway, boring stuff. I won't give you guys all the boring details, but that's what I've been doing. And I think tomorrow, Thursday, I think I'll be able to work on the 8-1 and tear it down. And finally, we can see what's inside. All right, guys, daily update for Thursday. Nearly the end of the day. As you can see up there, 5 p.m. We've got the Lincoln sitting on the ground. We're cleaning it up, and we are gonna try to back this thing out of the shop. This means it's gonna move for the very first time under its own power since it's been with us for quite a few months. So we're pretty excited about it. Wish us luck. Alrighty guys, Friday at 11:45 in the morning, which means I'm actually getting to this video business a little bit earlier in the day than I usually do, which is awesome. Last night we got the Lincoln outside for its very first, I wouldn't call it maiden voyage, but really the first time it's moved under its own power for 4 years, according to the owner of the car. I talked to him last night, sent him the video. So pretty big milestone there. The car is not done yet, but we have a lot of things taken care of. Like yesterday, for example, I spent a lot of time tidying up cables and stuff. We got the battery cable away from the headers. We got the transmission line zip tied away. We do need to replace those because, like right down there, it might be kind of hard to see this camera angle, but there's a huge melted chunk right there on the transcooler line. Anyhow, because most of the work for the week is done, we actually close at 12:30 on Fridays. It means it's now time that I can do my own stuff, but unfortunately, it is not for the 8.1. This big old box of fluids and stuff is for the daily driver. I haven't really touched this truck other than just, you know, daily driving it, commuting in it since I got here at the very beginning of February. So we got some long overdue maintenance that we need to take care of. Pretty much all the fluids, transmission, front diff, rear diff. I actually changed not too long ago when I did the Banks diff cover, but transfer case, everything, engine is all going to be done. So this is what I'm going to use. This kit we got from DMAX store. It's for the Allison 10L1000. And yes, I know it's technically not an Allison, but that's what it says on the side of the truck. That's what its name is, technically made by GM. This is the ULV Dex. There's 15 quarts plus the filter and a gasket. That was all a kit. We have the PPE engine oil filter. We have the fuel filter for the Fleece Performance better filter that I have on there. And of course some Schaefer's fluid. So let's get dirty. All right, let's see if this lift has what it takes. Technically the lift is rated at 12,000 pounds and the truck only weighs like 8,500, but it's a big truck. It's a lot of weight. So the truck's got 77,000 on it right now. Actually had the transmission replaced at about 30,000. And they say you're supposed to change the fluid, I think every 40 or so, which puts us pretty much kind of sort of on time. Bring yours down. Need to go? Bring yours down. And then slide it your way and then start to tip my end down. Ready? Slow, slow, slow. Nice. That would have been messy. Yeah. I made the first one, just for the record. Ah, dang it. I promise, I made the first one. So what I prefer to use for something like this, I used to have a couple of pumps from Motive Products. It's basically the same thing as my Home Depot sprayer bottle, but they have a little valve on there and there's a pressure gauge and like a manual fill valve. But for a cheap Home Depot sprayer, it actually gets the job done. time to pump it up. I cannot go one day without making a mess. Yeah, I just did that. So you'll have to imagine what it looks like to change a fuel filter because I forgot to push the button as Nick just assessed. But there's a new one up there, I promise. I always like to pull the fill plug, not always. It's a good idea though to pull the fill plug before you pull the drain plug because let's say your fill plug is stripped out and you can't get it out, you have no way to fill it. That is remarkably clean.
We'll put that as one of our points to work on.
Alrighty guys, it's your final update for the week. The truck is back on the ground. There's Nick, he's headed home. 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, and I have accomplished a lot of things this week, but not the one that I had originally kind of hoped to do, which is the 8-1 teardown. So this gets pushed off another week, but that's not a big deal because when it comes to running a shop, you gotta kind of make sure you take care of business. And I got some road trip stuff planned this summer, so I wanna make sure that the AT4 is, tuned up in tip-top shape. The only thing I did not change in terms of fluids and oils in the truck was the rear differential. That's because when I did the Banks diff cover, which was probably only like 15,000 miles ago, I put in some new fluid then, obviously. That's the cover there. So the rear is all tuned up, and now the transfer case, the transmission, the engine, the front differential, and the fuel filter, those are all brand new serviced. I gotta show you this tool because it's kind of interesting. I used to hate it. Now I don't hate it so much, but I dislike it a whole lot because it's so stinking messy. This was left over when I bought the shop, but it's a BG, they call it a driveline service center, but basically it's an oil pump for pumping gear oil because you know how hard it is to get that stuff into the differentials and things, especially if there's other components in the way. So it makes it really, really easy, but the problem is look at that mess down there. This is actually, I'm ashamed to admit, this is one of the things I have not cleaned yet from when I bought the shop. So a lot of this mess was existing and it drives me absolutely bonkers how dirty it is and it kind of drips on the floor. One of these days I'll get a free mint and clean it up, but makes life simple for adding fluid to the diffs. And I did make sure I kind of flushed it out before we used it, just to make sure there's no dirt or anything in there, but all the fluid's clean inside. It's leaky, which leaks drive me nuts. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. That brings this week to an end. Next week, I think next week, I'm looking at the schedule, I think I'll be able to get going on this because the summer is slowly ticking away. I want to get back to the drag strip. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good one.